first off, I'd like to thank all of my peers for joining me for this presentation today. Thank you. Now, first off, I'd like to start this presentation with one simple question. Have you ever noticed that listening is often way more powerful than speaking? For a long time, I had a struggle with this process, especially when it comes to serious conversations. I was always ready to defend myself and defend my point of view, way before any other person even finished their sentence. However, a wise mentor once explained to me that in order to gain true knowledge, you should be able to be slow to speak and be quick to listen. That stayed with me. And I realized that if I want to truly understand the world around me, I had to follow a simple rule. Stop, look, and listen. I had to stop myself from interrupting another person. I had to look at the person that I'm about to engage with. And most of all, I had to truly listen to what the person is trying to tell me. Now, as a student at Oral Roberts University, my studies in becoming a better communicator and my time from studying the Bible, I have learned that these skills are very vital, especially when it comes to in the future. Today, I want to share with you the benefits of listening that I've learned and discovered from this journey. Thank you. Now, you might be wondering, why do I have a stop sign as the first picture of my presentation? Now I'd like to explain to you that the stop sign is the very first step that you need to hear when it comes from stop, look, and listen. It is the very first step, and you need to stop whenever someone is trying to talk to you, whether if you're doom scrolling on TikTok, if you're even playing a video game, or even if you're reading a book. The very first step you need to do is stop whenever anybody is trying to discuss with you. Next. Thank you. Now, listening can provide useful information, whether if you're watching a how-to video on how to build a clock, if you're watching a how-to video on how to multiply fractions, or even if you're watching a movie for a moral lesson. Let's dig deep into those bullet points. First off, we're watching a how-to video on how to build a clock. Now, when you're making a clock, you need to focus on each individual instructions, because if you don't, you can easily misplace a gear into the wrong section and it can completely malfunction, just like that, with a snap. Now the next one, watching a how-to video on how to multiply fractions. Now same thing with building a clock, it requires a certain amount of steps, but you need to follow each individual steps in order to get the problem right. Because if you don't, you're pretty much you can easily get the first step and misplace the second one. Because if you mess up a step, you can easily get the problem wrong, you can fail the class, or you can even get a bad grade. And I'm pretty sure nobody wants that. Now, when it comes to watching a movie for a moral lesson, those are pretty important too, because my favorite movie is Spider-Man, because his personal lesson is great power comes great responsibility. Now, if you're just watching the movie for fun and you're not listening for the moral lesson out of this movie, you're pretty much watching a movie about superheroes and you're not really understanding the full motive of why they made that movie. Now, I would recommend that you listen whenever you're watching anything, because there's an important message that you need to get out of it. All right? Next. All right. Listening can be very important in a career. All right, people, it's time. We get to talk about that cheddar. We get to talk about that money. We get to talk about finances. In Gallagher's textbook, it states that time and time again, new employees who are poor listeners didn't make it. Now, that should say more than enough. Because if you do not listen to what your boss is trying to tell you, you could pretty much lose your job just like that. You need to pay attention to what your boss is trying to get to you. The boss can easily just tell you to go pick up some documents. You can easily just make those words go straight through your head and get the wrong thing. Now, I recommend pay attention when someone is trying to speak to you. Next. The Bible shows that listening can provide wisdom and humility. It's very important. In Proverbs 19:20, it shows that wisdom is earned from learning or listening to advice and having discipline. Remember, wisdom is not earned. Wisdom is not inherited. It is not fully askable. You need to earn it. Next is James 1:19. And it shows that if you are a true believer in Christ, you should listen first before you talk. You should always control your temper. Next slide, please. Thank you. When people listen to God, He can and will give them peace and safety from danger. And here's proof. Proverbs 1:33 shows that those who listen to God, those who listen to guidance from God on the daily, they will live in safety from danger. Another example that you really need to take note. Matthew 11:15 explains that listening to God is active listening. You need to fully listen to God, not just with your ears or physically, but with your heart. With your heart, soul, and your mind. Next up is listening can provide trust, support, and sympathy. Listening can make conflict resolution, especially in a relationship. And it doesn't matter what kind of relationship you could be in. It could be in a friendship, dating, or even marriage. You need to listen. And guess what? In order to have a good marriage or a good friendship, you need to have good communication. And listening is a big requirement when it comes to good communication. Also, listening can build strength with other people. Now, when you listen to other people, who knows what might happen? The other person can start to feel vulnerable, safe. They can feel understood, and most of all, they can feel valued. And who knows what else would happen? They might actually feel safe around you. And overall, listening is way more than just hearing sounds and hearing words. It's a mental process of understanding and remembering what the others say to you. Sometimes it requires you to listen from the heart and showing empathy to the other person who is struggling through where they're going through. Whether if you are just listening, whether if you're just listening to a teacher teach, or even supporting a friend. Active listening is a gift. And it builds trust, it expands your knowledge, and it even strengthens your relationship. It's very important. Just as Proverbs 12:15 states, the way of the fools seem right to them, but the wise choose to listen to advice. And by choosing to listen, we chose the path of wisdom. Now, the main way to feel safe back at home base, you must first stop, look, and listen. Because the greatest gift you can possibly give to another person is not just your ears, but your full attention. Thank you for your time.